this webinar will be recorded. So if you miss any part of it, it will be posted on our website, so people can go back and view it. And we welcome again everyone. Thank you. Let me just put this. Okay, thank you for joining us to today's webinar. Today we have with us Liz Hamburg. For today, we're going to talk about staying connected while social distance. Social distance. See, I can't even say the words anymore. I'm too tired. Social distancing. Here you go. Today, Liz, she's the founder of Candoo Tech, providing in-person and remote tech support and training for the adult to keep them safe, independent, and connected. She is also the founder of Upstart Ventures, helping social entrepreneurs drive impact, where she has been involved in the startup and growth of over 15 new businesses, including Applewise. It is an education technology company. She was the president and CEO of the Todd Wood Foundation, a US-based nonprofit connecting nonprofit and social organization with skilled volunteer to pro bono services. So we'll thank you again, Liz, for doing this webinar for us. And I know a lot of you know about PSS, but just a quick overview about our services. We are a nonprofit agency that provides services to the adult who has permission to strengthen the capacity of older New Yorkers, their families, and community to thrive. With PSS Life University, we offer educational training and other program online, as the webinar we have been doing for the last 2 months. And also we have 10 local senior centers. Unfortunately, at this moment, they all closed, but we still try to provide services to our members. Our mission in these local centers is designed to help older adults to stay healthy, engaged, and connected. And PSS Circle of Care provide free personal support for those caring for someone who's frail, chronically ill, or has a memory loss issues. We also have a grandparent family apartment. This is the first in U.S. residence, purposely built for grandparent raising grandchildren. Our coming of age program inspire people 50 plus to live with passion and purpose. We also have our volunteer program. Again, if you have any question, you can add it in the Q&A box. And also if you want to speak or you want to say something, you can just use the option of raise of hand and I can unmute you to say something or to ask the question. And I want everybody to remember that we are in the year where we have to do the census. It's very important. These are the tough time for all of us, but the census will help our community to receive federal funding in the next 10 years. By taking 10 minutes to complete your census, we can help hospitals, school, road, transportation, and more. To complete your census, you can just go to 20census.gov. Okay. Without further ado, please, you can start the webinar. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Thank you guys for joining. As I said, I see some familiar names, not faces, but familiar names there. So thank you for joining us. And I'm going to present for about 15, 20 minutes. And then I wanted to kind of make this an interactive conversation. So as Shana said, feel free to go ahead and raise your hand virtually and put questions in the chat box, and we're gonna take it from there. So let me go ahead and I'm going to share my screen. And I will also just say, like all of us, I am working remotely and have a very rambunctious dog who does not like to be left alone. So she's in the other room, but if you hear some noises there, please forgive Annie. And I hope that you guys are nice and safe and at home as well. I'm sure all of us have been learning to adapt and work with lots of interesting interruptions. So as let me just go ahead and I'm going to minimize because I'm seeing myself on the screen. Hopefully you guys aren't. So as you heard, I am the founder of a company called Candoo Tech. And normally we provide both in-home and remote tech support and training lessons specifically designed for older adults to help them stay independent, safe, and connected. And just over the last month, just since the end of March, we've stopped our in-person visits and we're doing remote only. And so we've been really learning a lot and about what works and what doesn't work remotely. And we've really had some very interesting success stories and lots of trials and tribulations. So I'm happy to share that as well. I know that for many of you, you've got family that is currently isolated or clients. And so that was one of the things, the main thing that I want to talk about today is how can we continue to both support our family members or clients, as well as keep them safe and engaged when most of them are remote and we're not actually able to get in to see them. So what I wanted to talk about, first of all, is, again, I'm probably preaching to the choir with this group, but I did just want to share the issue of social isolation is real. And, this is a statistic that I've been sharing for quite a while, but it really has been showing itself in stark relief over the last few weeks, is that this idea of social isolation has very significant and real health effects. And a study over the last few years showed that it has the same health effects as if you were smoking 15 cigarettes a day. So we're doing everything we can to try to find ways to use technology to decrease social isolation, and we have been seeing success. So I'm happy to say that there are some really positive stories out there, but it's something that we should be aware of and just, and not underestimate. So we really look at how technology can help in 3 buckets. And what I wanted to talk about today is the health and safety. So how do we get the quote unquote eyes in the room for parents or clients in senior living facilities or living alone? How do we get them access to doctors' portals? How do we keep them safer and healthier even while they're isolated? The second topic I want to talk about is how we can connect. So finding new ways to connect and communicate with family and friends, even if we are remote and we can't actually touch someone or see them in person. And then the third issue is around engagement. And again, this is really around decreasing social isolation and making sure that people who were normally engaged and getting out and about can continue to find ways to stay engaged, because that's absolutely critical to both their mental and physical well-being. So first I wanted to talk about health and safety. Now, for those of you who've seen me present and know me, I've been talking about fall detection for a while, and there's lots of different ones out there. And I will just say on a personal note, I have an uncle who's in his 80s. He lives alone in Florida, and unfortunately, he took a pretty bad fall on Monday. And thankfully, he did have I think it was a life alert or one of the wristband buttons that he was able to push, and otherwise he would have been in pretty serious trouble. And thankfully, he was able to get to the hospital, and I'm happy to report had successful partial hip replacement. So it was a pretty big deal from just a very, very minor spill. So I cannot emphasize enough, and I know that so many older adults are very hesitant and skeptical, and maybe they're too proud to wear the fall detection monitor, but it is absolutely, I believe, critical in this time, really, frankly, for anyone living alone, but in particular for older adults. And so what we found is, the very basic fall detection device is typically something that, is worn on the wrist or worn around the neck, help me, I've fallen and can't get up. And those are great, except when people forget to wear them, or they take them off at night, or they forget to charge them. And so this is just one example, and there's many, but this is something called the Walabot Home. And the nice thing about this is it just goes on the wall. So there's nothing to recharge, there's nothing to remember to wear, and it just gets stuck on the wall. It gets attached to a Wi-Fi, an in-home Wi-Fi, and then you can actually program it to call anyone, whether it's an adult child or a caregiver. It doesn't call a first responder immediately. It will call a family member or a caregiver. So, the downside of this is it only works in the house, and you do have to purchase one for every room. But for, again, those who absolutely refuse to wear something or forget to wear them, this is something that is a lifesaver. The other thing that we've been finding has been more and more important and relevant are cameras. And again, I know that so many people, not only older adults, but everyone just, has major questions around privacy and security, and really, who wants to be watched all the time, right? But I do think that particularly in this time, having a camera in the home can make a big difference, both for engagement and, social isolation, as well as for security. So this is just one example. It's called the Wise Cam. It's literally a $20 camera. The one on the left, the one on the right is more of a panoramic camera. That one is $30. And it's, again, very easy to set up. We have been able to set them up remotely, or you can set them up for your loved ones yourself. You just plug it in, attach it to Wi-Fi, scan a barcode, and away you go. And the nice thing is there's an app that goes with it, so you can keep the app on your phone. You get an alert if there's motion detected or sound detected, and there's a talkback feature from the app so that you can talk directly to the phone. And unlike some of the other fancier ones or more expensive ones, this one actually does not have a monthly fee, so it's just a one-time charge, and you're able to control that yourself. I see a couple of questions already. Dr. Carolyn says, I'm not clear on your comment that it's the equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. So that was an independent study that basically said that the health effects, the measured data on someone's physical well-being of being isolated has the same effects as if you were smoking 15 cigarettes a day. I'm happy to send anyone who wants afterwards a link to that study. Or if you just go ahead and Google social isolation and 15 cigarettes, you should be able to find that. The other question was, is there any movement to putting fall detection equipment on common trackers that many of us wear, like Fitbit, etc.? Yeah, so there definitely are. So there are the bands that you can wear around your wrist. There's nothing right now that will go into something that you currently have other than the Apple Watch. And that is something that's available. So the Apple Watch does have a fall detection device in it right now, the new one. And from what I've heard, I have not tested it myself, it's working pretty well. But again, you have to have someone who's comfortable with the Apple Watch, who remembers to put the Apple Watch on, and who charges the Apple Watch. So that is definitely not always, the most reliable situation. So the next thing I want to talk about is hearing. And, we've been working with an audiologist here in New York. We've done a couple of presentations together. And, this is something that is, hearing loss and being able to hear clearly on the phone or in your home has always been an issue. But, I think even more now, it's absolutely critical. Again, if someone is alone and they can't hear the phone, or they can't hear clearly on the phone, it's literally a safety and security issue, as well as a social isolation issue. So I wanted to let everyone know that there are definitely ways, not with all hearing aids, but with a lot of hearing aids right now, you're able to connect through Bluetooth, and you're able to stream phone calls directly to the hearing aids. You're also able to stream audio such as music directly to the hearing aids. Many of the phones have the ability also to find lost hearing aids through a little beep. So that I know, just again from personal experience, that relatives always seem to lose their hearing aids, and so this is a nice feature to have, as well as to be able to control things like television remote mics. The other thing is that both the iPhone, we're talking about the iPhone here today, but Android phones as well have some really great accessibility features. And if you haven't looked into them, I highly encourage you to do that. What you can do, this is an example on the iPhone, is go to settings, and then you'll see an accessibility button. And then when you click on accessibility, you'll get all of these different things. And specifically for hearing, again, you can connect to hearing devices. You can add captioning and subtitles, And what's really great, and we just had a client yesterday who said that they missed a really important call because they did not hear the phone. And so there is an ability on the iPhone to turn on the LED flash. So that's actually the same light that is used for your flashlight on your iPhone. It will flash like a really bright white light if you turn this on when you get a phone call or a text message. So that can be a really important and, again, life-saving thing if someone can't hear their phone calls. The next thing is connecting to doctors' portals. And again, we are getting more and more requests for this. We're talking with insurance companies, we're talking with hospitals and doctors' offices. We're finding that, you know, almost everyone has moved to virtual visits right now, and it is extremely challenging and frustrating to actually figure out how to either get onto the doctor's portal, get onto the, or connect directly to a virtual visit. So, you know, we're doing a lot of that at Candoo. I would highly encourage you guys, if you are caregivers or adult children, to make sure that your family member, if they do need help, that you're able to help them create those accounts and sign on to the doctor's portal, as well as things like, you know, I just this morning helped someone. She had to get something notarized and they were doing a virtual notary, and it was really complicated. We had to get onto a WebEx meeting, and then we had to show her, you know, turn the camera on and show her signing the document, and then we had to scan the document and upload it. So these are things that are, you know, really critical right now to getting healthcare and to getting your, you know, healthcare proxy signed or things like that. And so we're definitely finding that people are needing help with that. It's not impossible to do, but definitely a lot of times need help. So let me just pause here and see. It looks like there's no, we got those questions answered. Great. So again, keep them coming in the chat. I'll just check intermittently just to make sure that we've got everything covered. So I wanted to turn next to connecting. And as adorable as this little boy is hugging his grandfather, unfortunately, we know that that is not happening right now in person. So how can we give that virtual hug? So I'm sure most of you are familiar with many of these, if not all of these. FaceTime, Skype, WhatsApp is used a lot, particularly internationally. And that's actually, for those of you who don't know, owned by Facebook. So, you know, there are some people that have, you know, some concerns over privacy issues because a lot of that information is shared back and forth with Facebook. You have to, you know, make sure that your settings are controlled. And then the one on the bottom is actually something that we have been testing for quite a while and really love using, which is the Alexa Show. And that is a video version of Alexa. So if you have the Alexa app on your phone, or you both, two family members, have the Alexa Show, you can actually communicate directly, or you can use Skype through Alexa. And this is a really nice, easy thing to do. And again, with accessibility, the great thing about using Alexa is you don't actually have to type anything in or remember any passwords or things like that. You just say, hey, Alexa, call my grandson, and it can pretty easily make that call if it's set up right. A couple of other things, nice things about the Alexa Show and accessibility that I wanted to point out, again, for anyone with hearing impairment, there are really ways to program Alexa so that you can get those visual cues, and you know, you'll see that you can actually get things like the weather, get news, get a timer. You can actually tap on that and see that on the screen. And one of my personal favorites is that you can get lyrics to almost any song. So when you're playing a song on the Alexa Show, the lyrics for most songs automatically pop up. So again, now that we're isolated and can sing as loudly as we want at home alone, this is a nice feature to have. This is something called the Caribou, and it's a really nice app. I've actually been using it with my 8-year-old niece who's based in LA, and what it is you're on a video call together, but then you're sharing either a digital book in this case, or my niece she's a little bit too old for some of the stories, but she loves the drawing. So you can actually go on and select either a book or a drawing, and with the drawing you can either freestyle draw, or there's like different little games, mazes to do together, hangman to play together, online coloring books, things like that. So it was actually designed for military families so that military families could read bedtime stories together when they were deployed. And now it's a really nice way to stay connected and share a story or share some games. So let me pause there just for a minute before we talk about engagement and just check and see if there are any more questions. Again, feel free to put them in the Q&A or the chat and raise your hand, and we'll go ahead and make sure that those are covered. So I don't see any right now. So let me turn to engagement. And again, this is really, I think, the thing that that so many of us are thinking about is how can we make sure that our loved ones are staying busy, staying healthy, of course, but then really, as importantly, how are they staying busy and how are they spending their days? So a few things that I wanted to point out, books and audiobooks are really great. Audible, I think probably most of you know by now, those are audiobooks, and it's actually now part of Amazon. You can subscribe and have a couple of books a month as part of your subscription, or you can buy them as one-offs. And this has been really a lifesaver for many, many of our clients who have macular degeneration. They are able to get their life back again in terms of reading. So this has made a huge difference. And we have many clients who are listening to memoirs of favorite actors or singers from their generation, novels, whatever. There's literally tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of books now that are on audio. I did want to mention, because they are a little bit pricey, but for those who can take advantage of the library now, which is closed, of course, but they have thousands of both audiobooks as well as digital books online. And Libby is actually an app that's being used by the New York Public Library, but there's other apps that are being used by libraries across the country. Fairly easy to download. You can just use your library card as your ID number and can take out virtually literally tens of thousands of audiobooks, as well as some videos. Some libraries have videos as well, digital videos, and of course books as well. And then podcasts. I'm a huge, huge fan of podcasts. These are basically online radio shows and on a whole variety of topics, everything from comedy, which we all need a little bit of these days, to news and your favorite newscaster, and all of these are on demand. You can search and get any of them, or you can actually subscribe. So when a new version comes out, it automatically goes into your device. Movies. So, of course, most people at this point have heard of Netflix, Amazon Prime. We should probably add Hulu to that as well. But one thing I did want to point out with these is that closed captioning is available. So I know that, again, for many people who are hard of hearing, the movies have been a little bit of a challenge, and they're home and, they're maybe feeling frustrated. And so I did just want to mention that it is fairly easy to add the closed captioning to any of these streaming services, and it can make a really, really big difference. Zoom. Everyone's been Zooming, and it really has become the new classroom for everyone, from students to meetings. So many activities have moved online. There's a growing list of organizations that are providing webinars and interactive events like this. Synagogues and churches, local community centers here in New York, the JCC, the 92nd Street Y, has all moved into to Zoom activities. University extension classes, these are a great way to stay engaged and keep your brain going. And so many universities are now offering adult ed classes online, and I would definitely look in your, I would say in your neighborhood, but now, there's a whole virtual neighborhood, which is nationwide. So that, again, opens up so many possibilities. And we're also seeing senior living communities. So we've been working with a lot of senior living communities where, unfortunately, as you guys know, it's a terrible, terrible situation where so many people are quarantined, isolated in their rooms. And so many of the senior living communities are starting to put their classes and activities online and using Zoom to be able to get to their residents. We have another question: is there a charge for Alexa? Yeah, so Alexa is part of Amazon. You have to purchase the actual device, and the Alexa Dot it's very inexpensive. I think it's like $30 now or $40. The Alexa Show, the one I showed you with the video, is definitely more than that. Again, they've been on sale, so you need to check with your retailer. But then there's no ongoing monthly charge, if that's what you mean. So that's free once you actually get the device. Then that's free to go ahead and use that. So games. I have been hearing about so many people who play bridge all day long, and they've now moved to their online bridge. Bridgebase.com is one that has been highlighted quite a bit and seems to be getting a lot of really positive feedback, as well as something called Mahjong, so realmahjong.com. You can actually play with friends, so you can sort of bring in your own community of people, or you can play against the computer. And then things like Words with Friends, which is the equivalent of Scrabble, that you can play again online against a friend or family member, as well as play against the computer or play against strangers as well. So these are great things to keep people occupied, maybe move from what they were doing in their real day-to-day life and take it online with their friends and family. Boggle is kind of an old school game that's making a comeback and is quite addictive. And so these are just some ways to go ahead and keep people engaged. I wanted to just talk a little bit about what we've been doing. So as I mentioned, we have moved from all in-person visits with some remote to 100% remote only. And we've been having really some great success stories. So we offer both a tech lesson, which is a very, sort of quick 1 hour lesson in how to do everything from how to use Zoom, how to get onto a doctor's portal, how to order on Amazon, how to use FaceTime. So these are things that we will send out a how-to guide in advance. And, and at the end of the lesson, it will put interactive software on your computer or on your phone or iPad so that we can actually see what you're seeing and you can follow along. And it's a very interactive way of learning. And the other thing we're doing is online tech support. So we're finding so many people have, their sound's not working, their mouse is not working, the email's not working, they forgot a password, something's not syncing. So we're able to offer online tech support. Again, we'll download remote software so that we can see what you're seeing on your screen and support you directly through that. The other thing that we've started to do, and it's been quite interesting and very moving to see how this is working and really making a difference for people, is for those who don't have a device. So maybe they have a phone, but they don't have a tablet or an iPad, or they don't have a laptop, and they're stuck at home. We are able to work directly with the client to figure out what they need. We'll send a link. You purchase it, so we're not selling hardware. We're not sort of in the middle of that. But you make the purchase. You'll ship it to our guys who are now working from home. So it's shipped directly to a tech concierge. They'll set it up. So we'll have a consultation about what that family member wants. If they love watching videos on Opera, we'll set up Opera videos. We'll set up card games, whatever they want on that. And then we'll ship that into the home or into the facility. And we had just a beautiful story the other day where one of our clients called, and her mom was in her 90s and unfortunately also had a fall, broke her hip, and they had no way to see her, obviously couldn't get to her in the hospital. So we helped them set up an iPad, and we shipped the iPad home to the mom, and the iPad got there the day the mom got home from the hospital, and her daughter was able to see her on FaceTime. So that was really nice. We also had a story, and this is really one of my favorites, of a woman who called. Her father was turning 105 years old, and he was unfortunately in an assisted living facility stuck inside, and she had no way again to see him, and he needed to get something to a doctor. And so we were able to remote in actually on his 105th birthday, and we were able to show him how to download the remote software. We taught him how to take a photo with his iPhone, and then he emailed it to his doctor. So, we at Candoo, we like to say that you can do it and we can help. And we love to hear those stories of people who feel empowered by their technology. So with that, let me see, we've got a couple of other questions. Dee says, this is the part I need to know about. So happy to dive into any of these. And Dr. Carolyn, again, FaceTime is only available to iPhone customers. Yeah, so that is one downside of FaceTime, is that you can only do it directly with people who have an iPhone. So, the other ways to use video calling are Skype, as well as WhatsApp. You can use that, as well as Alexa. So it looks like we've got, Google Duo. Great. Okay, thank you, Dee. That is a good option. So let me go ahead. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for now. I'll just put us back on video, and I'm happy to go ahead and answer any other questions that you guys have. We have some time left over. While we do have some time, I wanted to also just talk a little bit about scams. So, this is a time that we really need to be protected. I was just on a call with some colleagues the other day, and they said that there was a Zoom class that had been going on. I can't remember what, it was some community center, and someone had left their bank account information open on their screen and then went into a Zoom class and shared their screen by accident. And, I think everyone in the class was obviously respectful, and they said, turn that off right away. But it is definitely something to just be aware of, that, please make sure that people know to close sensitive information before they go onto any kind of shared screens, as well as do not answer phone calls when anyone says they're Microsoft, they're Amazon, they're the IRS. We've gotten over, time, but particularly now, a lot of people calling to say, oh my God, someone said that they were from Amazon and I had to, update this thing. And so I let them in, and they took all my information. So, we are finding we're having to wipe a lot of computers, get malware off, and we can do it, but it's we prefer not to. So definitely that's, just something to be aware of, and make sure that that your loved ones are aware of as well. Any other questions? DS, do we work with seniors with cognitive issues and slow processing? Yes, we do. Obviously there's some limitations, particularly remotely. So we are, experimenting with kind of pushing the envelope on this right now, is, how much can we do remotely, and, and what are the best devices for that. But we definitely have done that and can do it. And we have some partners as well that have devices specifically for people with dementia. So, it's, for the most part, our clients who have dementia will typically have an aide or someone in the home who can help them. They're not completely isolated, but yes, I'm happy to talk with you offline about that. And I will also just put in this chat box our phone, as well as our email. So if anyone is interested, feel free to, I'm not sure where that just went, but hopefully it went somewhere that you guys can see. It's support@candootech.com, and feel free to give us a call or email us if you are interested. Any other questions? This is a quiet group, and I know people on this call, and you're usually not this quiet. So what's going on?
So I guess the other presentation was so clear, and it was very helpful for everybody. So that's why they don't have a lot of questions. Oh, there's
I
another
see
one.
one more. Sharon, are you nationwide? So the answer is yes, as of a few weeks ago. So we were not nationwide when we were offering in-person visits. We were really in the New York area, New York and Westchester. But because we're doing remote only, we are nationwide, and we actually are now, as of today, in 12 states. So we've gotten just a huge outpouring of people. You're in Maryland, Sharon. Great. Well, yeah, we've got some clients in Maryland, and you know, the beauty of being able to help remotely is that we can really do it anywhere. Our biggest issue right now is trying to remember what time zones everyone in, but we can definitely do that. Yeah. Any other questions? Great. Oh, Dr. Carroll says she's mentioning us to her colleagues in France and Rwanda. Wow, well, that's exciting. we definitely haven't gone that far, but we can, and we've got some folks that are multilingual, so we would be glad to support you. I will say, you know, just one thing to keep in mind, having done a little bit of work in Rwanda in a previous life, is, you know, obviously we need to make sure there's good internet connection, and that's really our big drawback, especially for the remote software. So that is something to just keep in mind. But thank you. Anything else? Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Dementia Friendly American Team Meeting. Yeah, no, I really appreciate that. We have been working with folks with dementia, and you know, again, this is just a heartbreaking situation to see people who are so isolated, especially with cognitive issues, and knowing that family members, you know, want to check on them. So, you know, I will say that things like the Wise camera that I showed before, what I didn't mention is they have sensors that go along with it. So what we're finding, and it maybe we haven't put them in remotely yet, you probably need to have someone go into the home, and unfortunately it can't be us, but if there's a caregiver or someone who's in the home, what we're doing is we can put sensors on things like doors, even stoves, so that you can put a sensor on both sides of the knob on a stove, and so when the knob is turned, you're actually getting an alert that you know that's been quote unquote opened, and then when it's closed, you'll see that it's closed. So that's really handy for those worried about people either wandering or not turning off the stove. Anything else? No? All right, well, as I said, please feel free to reach out, support@candootech.com. I'll just go ahead and share my screen one more time, just so you guys have that up here, and happy to help, and I really appreciate everything that you all are doing. This is just such a challenging time for everyone, and you know, I like to share some of these inspiring stories just to let you know that, you know, that it is possible to be able to get in and to contact people remotely, and to try to decrease isolation. And, you know, we are seeing people that are having, you know, virtual birthday parties, and again, bridge lessons and book clubs and things like that. So if you have a resource that has worked well for you, please feel free to share it with us. You know, we're always happy to pass those along, and hopefully we can keep each other safe. I see a couple more questions just coming in. Are there any tech alerts available for wanderers that you're aware of? You know, there definitely are, and again, I'm happy to talk with you offline if you want to do that. You know, there are things you can put in shoes that work. There are, you know, there are things that go on the door. Happy to, you know, to point you in that direction. And again, you know, hopefully now, you know, people are staying home, but I think the wandering is even more of an issue now that, you know, not that many people are out, because, you know, it's quite often then that people may not be discovered. So, so yeah, happy to give those recommendations offline. Great.
Thank you again, Liz. Thank you everyone for coming today to this important webinar for everybody. We all try to stay connected and different ways to connected and stay engaged with our family and loved ones. And then the webinar is recorded, so it will be posted on our website in a few days. So if anybody missed something, or if you want to share with your loved one or anybody else that needs the information, please visit us at pssusa.org/resources. Then you'll find all our past webinar and today's webinar on it. Thank you.
Thank you guys, and thank Annie the dog, who seemed to manage to keep quiet through the entire hour. So that's a great victory. Thank you guys.
Thank you. Have a great day, everyone.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.